Every parent wants their child to grow, to explore, and to dream big. At MPB, we're proud to support families and teachers across Mississippi with trusted educational programming and resources that inspire learning and spark imagination. From PBS Kids favorites to digital tools and early learning support, MPB is here for young minds, engaged classrooms, and families who believe in the power of learning at every age. Empowering families, inspiring learners. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Hey, it's me, Gus the Gopher for Atmos Energy. I dig all around the yard. Occasionally, I bump into a utility line and get a headache. But if you hit one with your shovel, backhoe, or ditch digger, you could cause a gas leak, disrupt service, or worse. So call 811 at least 3 business days before you or someone else digs in your yard to have those underground utility-owned lines marked. It's free and it's the law. You dig what I'm saying? For more on safe digging, visit atmosenergy.com/811.
Okie dokie, folks, welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing, and we are ready to talk about gardening. And there's plenty of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff that's going awry. How about that one, Sir Java? Awry.
We're early in the show, and you already sending out the whoppers.
Yeah, going south. I don't know if that's maybe a slur for our part of the country, but it's going south.
Well, that's sometimes it does.
Yeah, and a lot of bugs out there, a lot of blights and weeds and stuff like that. But that's the down part. That's the part that drives gardeners nuts. Not many people talk about the upside, which is they're out there because you got stuff for them to be out there with. And we're going to be talking about that. So if you've got something on your mind this morning, want to yak about, give us a call. It's toll free, 1-877-MPB. And me and Java and all the folks here are live.
Hold on, wait. I gotta dial it back. 1-877-MPB ring.
What did I say?
You just stopped at the MPB.
Okay.
That's 1-877-672. That's all you said.
Okay.
And then
877-MPB ding-a-ling.
1-877-672-7464.
Can you tell my coffee's kicked in? Hey, I got some things we want to yak about. And some stuff to show. But let's start off right off the bat because we've got a gal who called up early on and from Memphis named Rebecca. I want to know about, parsley and cilantro? What?
Yes. I can't taste the difference. But
they both taste like
one
soap.
of my friends, no, I really like curly leaf parsley, and people act like that's the worst. But I've got a friend that really loves cilantro,
right,
and is like, can't you tell the difference? I'm like, it don't matter. But what I was wondering about their growing habits and their pests, because I can grow parsley. It seems to be doing just fine, but does the cilantro last for 2 years like the parsley does?
No, and actually parsley is technically it's a perennial plant, but what happens, Rebecca, is here in the South, it dies in the summertime. It usually dies in the summertime. Mine usually dies. Occasionally one will make it, but parsley grows so much better over the winter. It'll make almost a basketball size of leaves if you plant it in the fall over the winter, and in the spring it's really good. But when it gets really, really hot and dry, it just peters out. A lot of times it just collapses. So I think of parsley as being something to plant in the fall, enjoy in the fall, the winter, and the spring, and maybe chop some up and freeze it in ice cubes or something when it starts to peter out. Cilantro, on the other hand, it's a pretty short-lived plant in our climate. It'll grow real fast from seed. It'll make flowers. I mean, the tiny little flowers. You can eat it, use the leaves, and then the little seeds, by the way, are what is the seed of cilantro called? I'm drawing a total blank.
Coriander.
Yeah, coriander. That's the seed of it. But I have not had good success growing cilantro, and I suspect because I keep expecting it to live a long time. So I think it's one of those things you just reseed 2 or 3 times. I always have some young plants coming along.
Okay, now the parsley that I grow, it's not so much a problem with it. It just bolts.
Yeah.
And, it's like it's going to bloom and then it's done.
Yeah,
But,
it's what they call a long day plant, sort of like lilies. When the days get longer, parsley and lettuces and all those kind of things, they bloom. That's what they do, and then they usually die after that. Sometimes you can cut the flower off. As a matter of fact, you can cut the flower stalks off of parsley and just peel it real lightly and eat it just like asparagus.
right.
But anyway, I always think.
So cilantro, just keep planting it, huh? That's the way to do that.
Yeah, I tell you what, stay tuned. I know that there's a lot of fun. See, I don't grow it anymore because, I get all the cilantro I want out of a shaky bottle in my kitchen. That's all I like, just a little flavor of it, throw on some burritos or tacos or something. That's about it. So anyway, stay tuned. I bet somebody else will call on and say, well, Felder, here's how we do it every year, that kind of thing.
Okay, now I have a second issue here.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've got, you talked about a stumpery, but I have this one stump that's as tall as a chain link fence because when we had it cut, when we had the tree cut, it had grown into the chain link fence, and they couldn't cut it without messing up their saw.
Right.
They'd have to cut into the fence. So it's been there for 5 years, and I really got irritated at somebody. I just really got irritated at somebody.
Keep it clean, Rebecca. Keep it blood pressure.
I believe this is my way to stay out of jail now. I got the axe and slammed it into that stump, and it gave way.
Yeah.
And did the same thing with the picket. And my sister got in on it, too. And I'm like, my husband's like, well, do I have to finish that? I said, no, it's done. We're just gonna have a place.
Yeah.
You've heard of rage rooms.
Well, yeah. And your husband says, do I need to get him finished this? He was actually looking out the window saying, oh, Lord, what's going Java? Help me out here. You know what he's really thinking.
Do I need to go somewhere?
The two sisters with axes.
Yeah. We take turns, one at a time.
Yeah.
But you've heard of garden rooms and vignettes, and I'm thinking about a rage area for my garden. You can just have a little place to.
Wow, this is pure Gestalt gardening.
That's a new one for you.
That's a new one. Rage garden. I'm thinking of stuff like mimosa weed. Little weeds you got to get out there and pull. That's when you're raging, but you're in a mumbling to yourself rage.
Why are you here? That kind of thing.
Yeah. What a great idea,
All right,
Rebecca.
you have a great day.
Thank you. Java, you know what her husband's saying. You're looking out there and seeing two sisters wailing away with an axe and a pickaxe.
Yeah, he asked, do I need to finish that? But his real thought was,
how can I get these away from them?
Yes.
We're not being misogynistic here. We're just, we just been around. I'm making a note of that rage garden.
No, that is a good one. And see, because she was talking about swinging and taking down that stump, taking down that piece of a tree. You're talking about adding those weeds that you have to get out there and pull. And I believe Rebecca has stumbled upon a new concept.
Well, we're gonna go with that. Meanwhile, let's go from almost to Memphis down to almost to Florida, down lower Alabama. Melanie, how are you this morning?
I am fantastic. It was coolish kind of feeling this morning when I went out into the garden.
Yeah, for a minute.
Yeah. I didn't say it stayed that way. I said it felt that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wanted to throw a chip in from something you said last week about Gara.
Mm-hmm.
The plants have gotten outrageously expensive this year.
Yeah, because they're popular.
Pay attention when you're buying your Gara. There's 3 plants in most of those pots, and you can gently separate those plants.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
And then you get seed. And also, Gara is the kind of plant that if it's on the distressed plant rack for half price, you give it a little water and trim it back. And 2 weeks, and it'll look great again.
Two things. First of all, I worked in wholesale nursery for a long time, even before I went to college. And it's common practice, even with shrubs, to put 2 or 3 little plants in a pot because the little plants are cheap, and it makes the pots look a year older. Even I can't tell you how many times I've seen azaleas and hollies where there'll be 2 or 3 plants in one pot, and people don't know it. And 10 years later, one of them dies, and it looks like you're losing half your plant.
Yeah.
But,
well, I can't afford to, really buy the big pots full of, and use them as one plant. But
luckily it's a perennial. I mean, it's hardy. It's called prairie wandflower out in Oklahoma. It's hardy outdoors, even in Oklahoma. And the biggest problem I have with is if it gets watered, it just doesn't like it. It wants to be in Oklahoma. So anyway, what else you got?
Well, my climbing roses have finished, and it's very hard for me to cut them back to the ground.
Well, don't.
But they definitely need, to be. So do I just pick out the ones I don't want? And is that your advice? Just pick out the ones I don't like?
The allure of climbing roses is to have something out there all the time. If you cut them back to the ground, they start all over, long, sprangly things. But, what most people do is just thin out the ones that grab their hair when they go by or they get too cluttered. They just thin out some of them. You can cut some down low, some medium, but you always leave some of them. So it's sort of like... it's like plucking eyebrows. It's like rage plucking your eyebrows. You choose the ones to pluck and you choose the ones to leave.
It's more painful if you're rage plucking your eyebrows.
Yeah, but anyway, no, there's no need to prune a climbing rose. But most of the time, people cut out the dead stuff or the cluttered stuff or the stuff that's snatching their hat off. That's all you need to do.
These are roses that I have acquired over the years from various people. I have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the roses, not the people. Well, some of the people maybe. But anyway, one of them in particular just loses all its leaves because it has black spot, I guess.
Yep.
So does that harm the rosebud, the black spot? Does that keep it?
Some roses are so highly susceptible to black spot. And by the way, nobody has no black spot. I grow black spot resistant varieties. I grow antique varieties. I grow all different kind of roses in cemeteries in my own garden. And even the ones that are resistant to it get a little bit. It's a real common fungus. And some plants are so susceptible that it defoliates the plants. And this weakens them. So if you have that kind of problem, what I would recommend is a cut. If parts of the plant are just about defoliated for black spot, cut some of those parts back a little bit, and they'll quickly put out real strong new growth that'll be disease free.
Okay, that sounds great because they do. They bloom a little bit, but they don't bloom that one doesn't bloom as much as it used to. I can tell, and I've just been wondering what to do. I have seen, like in the fancy gardens, sometimes they cut them all the way down to the ground to rejuvenate them. So I was like, I wonder if that's what it needs. But
no.
Okay, I'm going to try that. Thank you so much.
Okay, Melanie, appreciate it. Thank you. And enjoy the cool mornings while you can. All righty, Java. By the way, anybody who has grown cilantro successfully where you like growing it, give us a call and tell us how you do it, because I've had miserable success, and usually I get just enough to where I said, okay, I've done it. Oops, there it goes. Java, has Crystal experienced that yet? Losing plants that she set out?
Well, I don't want to say losing plants, but I don't know. We've had a successful garden. I can honestly say that. She's happy, and I use this as the barometer. She's happy every time she goes out there. So it's okay.
That's good. She needs to stoke up on that right now because it gets really, really hot and dry. There's troubles. There's troubled waters ahead.
Yeah,
you need to stock up on your happy while you can. So anyway, give us a call about cilantro. Meanwhile, let's go down to Tylertown, which is where the Rushings settled a little over 200 years ago, and talk to Zachary. Hey, Zachary, how are you?
Good morning, Felder.
Howdy.
Just checking with you. Our coffee shop bunch, we don't know what a Gestalt Gardener is. And instead of Googling it, we thought we would just Google Felder and let him explain it to us.
Oh, that's a really interesting job. We've been Gestalt Gardener for 20-something years now?
A while now.
Yeah, and it came to me one time. I studied a little psychology when I was in graduate school, but I was given a landscape consultation to a guy who's a psychologist, and he said, on your radio program, you have a very Gestaltian approach. And I said, I haven't heard that since I was in school. And I realized it could be applied to gardening. Here's the deal. Gestalt is a psychological approach towards things. It's something like you have an experience that if you consider it as a whole, the whole of it is more important than all of its parts. It means both pattern and hold. Here's a couple of things. It takes into account the whole gardener and the garden. Not just the garden, but you too. it means you're paying attention to what's happening right now in the here and now. It uses a hands-on approach to gardening. It recognizes that the gardener is central to the process. Without you, it's just a bunch of plants. So you make it the way you want. It also acknowledges your own creativity, self-awareness, personal responsibility, sharing with others, that kind of thing. So here's the deal, and this sounds like all psychobabble, but more than a physical place, a garden is a human concept. The gardener, we can choose among any kind of possibilities to create, experience, savor, get rid of, whatever, but it constantly evolves and grows with us. So if you're just pruning and mowing, that ain't gardening, that's shaving. But if you're planting stuff and trying stuff and looking around, if you're involved in it, and if you go out and turn leaves over and stuff, just putting a bird feeder out, going out and putting some bird seed, when you go out to put bird seed in a bird feeder, immediately when you step outside, you smell, you see, you feel the humidity, all that kind of stuff, and you become part of the process. That's the Gestalt thing. How's that?
I love that. That's fantastic. Yes. Yeah. I'm glad I called.
Yeah, instead of trying to finish your garden, just kind of savor the process, overall experience, and sort out how it changes. And as you change, the gardener. That's the Gestalt approach. Great question, though.
I understand that well. And by the way, my catawba worm trees I call about all the time are doing well. Good crop this year.
Speaking of which, I've got I brought in some flowers to talk about today, and while I was sitting there looking, there's a caterpillar on one of them. I broke off a branch, and there's what we call an inchworm on it. They scrunch up, they spread out and scrunch up, they inch along. And now I can't find them, so the next host is going to have a surprise.
Oh, Lord. Oh.
Anyway, appreciate your call, Zach.
Okay. All right, later.
Speaking of pub talk, before we go to this next one, Java, he said coffee clatch. I have pub talk. We sit around and people say, "What are you talking about?" Well, we're not talking about anything. We're chin wagging. We're just shooting a breeze. And anyway, it came up the other night. What do mosquitoes eat? There's a lot of mosquitoes. There's not enough of me to go around. What do mosquitoes eat besides biting on me? And that's a great question. A lot of people don't realize that only female mosquitoes bite. They feed on the blood of mammals and birds and reptiles, anything. They need proteins to develop their eggs. But even the females and the males feed on flower nectar.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know they were pollinators.
No, well, they're really not. They just sip on the nectar. They don't move the pollen from thing to thing.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I think I've got a picture here. Let me see if I want to make sure. One of my pictures I've got is of a mosquito feeding on a flower. Where is it? I can't find it.
Look at the screen.
Oh, there it is. It's a mosquito, and it's got its long proboscis sticking down right at the base of the flower, sucking on nectar. And they'll eat algae, too, but mostly they just need the energy from nectar because they don't live long enough to really have to bulk up.
Now, see, that I did not know because I'm like you. What do they eat besides us?
Well, there it is. An answer to questions that only one person has asked.
Now, before we go to, who is this, Ann in Ballardsville, just want to remind everyone to not be a Larry.
Explain.
Well, Larry, he did not call 811 before he dug in his garden trying to bury his cat. Yeah, trying to bury his dead cat in his backyard. So dial 811. Thank you to Atmos Energy for supporting today's program and reminding us to dial 811 before we dig, because you don't want to be that person.
Don't be a Larry.
So easy to not be that person.
Yep. I mean, who knew? He was just digging a flower bed, hit a gas line.
Well, see, that's the thing. You don't know until you call 811.
There you go. Hey, let's go. But Ann has been hanging on for a long time. Ann, where is Ballardsville?
It's on the line, east of Moorville. Have you heard of Moorville?
No.
Okay. Well, it's in the boonies. But I garden
we all know exactly where the boonies are. Anyway, what you got? What's up today?
Well, what is this pernicious little weed that is taking over my yard? Is there something called a dollar weed?
Oh, yeah.
It's round?
Yeah, round and slick.
Yes. How do I get rid of it?
There are some weed killers that will kill dollarweed. By the way, a lot of people call anything with round leaves dollarweed, but the most common plant called dollarweed has got a slick round leaf, and the leaf stem comes up not in the middle, but not from the edge. It's just up on it's like an umbrella, but it's flat and it's slick. Here's the problem: there are some weed killers that will use it, and there are some that won't kill your grass. But you have to use it several times, and it still comes back because it's such a common plant from seed. So, and if your area is wet, it's going to have more of it. So it's just a really, really hard one to spray without killing other stuff, and then it still comes back. So, I hate to sound like a defeatist, but the truth is there's some plants like this that the best thing you can do is pull what you can out of flower beds, and whatever comes back, look at it as if you spent money on it, and all of a sudden, ain't it great? Now, it's a Gestalt approach, but if you can't fix it, flee it, or fight it, flow with it.
Well, I'm looking at it right now. It has ruffled edges and a stem in the middle.
Yeah.
Is that dollarweed?
Yep, it is real slick. Like I say, there are some weed killers. I don't remember the names of them off the top of my head. I think one is called Manor. Anyway, I can't remember the names, but if you go online and Google dollarweed control, it'll have several different brands of stuff that you can get. I just can't remember. But again, even with professional applicators, people who do this all the time, it takes 2 or 3 or more sprays a week or two apart, and it still comes back.
Okay.
But if you think about it, it's got a round leaf. Is this in your lawn or flower beds or what?
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's in my lawn. And I mow high, like you advised.
And if you mow, then dollarweed, dichondra, Carly, what some people call ground ivy, they become part of the lawn, and they're actually kind of okay. They don't really compete with the grass. If you're mowing high and fertilize at least every 2 or 3 years, the grass they would be companion plants. And it really doesn't hurt the lawn. Okay. It's one of those plants that doesn't take away from other plants. It grows in with other plants. So I'm not trying to talk you into it. I'm just saying that the easiest way to go is just to mow what grows, and in the flower beds, pull what you can, and just live with the rest of it as if you spent money on it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
And this approach doesn't require Wellbutrin. Call it part of your rage garden.
Well, I don't fertilize my lawn.
You need to. Grass is not what we call turf grasses here. They're native to Asia. They don't grow. I know a lot of people go for years without mowing, but if you'll put out a little bit of a good quality lawn food at least every 3 or 4 years, it recycles on those grass clippings, and it'll outcompete the weeds.
Okay, Felder. Thank you so much.
Okay, Ann. Thanks.
I like that concept you just said, outcompete the weeds.
Yeah, it does.
Because the weeds are coming.
Yeah, they're here first.
Yeah.
They're here first. They like it better. Waiting on a call about cilantro, and I love this idea of a rage garden.
Yeah, we're going to have to flesh this out. But Felder, if you can believe it, man, we have not taken our first break for the hour. We're going to get to Jerry from Bay Springs after this first break. So let's go ahead and we're going to save the cheesy tune to after this break. Just follow me. Follow me.
I got you, because the cheesy tune, if you're on live stream, you can't hear it.
Yeah, you need to run to mpbonline.org, and you can listen. You won't be able to hear it on the YouTube, but you can listen online. So yeah, do that.
All righty, we're going to take a quick break. I did bring some flowers in. I brought three of my 4 favorite flowering trees this time of year. Magnolias are a given. Crepe myrtles are given. A lot of people overlook Vitex, which we'll talk about a little bit, and mimosa. A lot of people don't like mimosa because it's a weed, but it is a gorgeous tree. It is a hummingbird magnet, and it's also got really good nectar if you're a mosquito lover. We can take a quick break and come back with more here on the Gestalt Gardener, Mississippi Public Broadcasting. Java Chapman, Felder Rushing. We'll be right back.
At the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience in Meridian, we believe in the power of the arts, storytelling, and education, just like Mississippi Public Broadcasting. MPB connects communities across the state with quality programs that inform, inspire, and engage. Their audience is loyal and appreciative of businesses that support public broadcasting, which makes underwriting on MPB a smart investment. Join us in supporting MPB. Learn more at mpbfoundation.org.
Hello, I'm Desiree Frazier, host of the award-winning news program, Mississippi Edition. We bring you conversations about the latest news from across the Magnolia State. Whether it's politics, healthcare, or education, you'll hear in-depth discussions on issues that matter to you. So join us each weekday morning at 8:30 on MPB Think Radio, or download the podcast, listen through the app, and online.
Together through the years, together in the future. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Welcome back, Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. Got some stuff to show you, but we're not here to show and tell. We're here to listen and share. Well, let's go down to Bay Springs and talk with Jerry. Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
Good morning. I love your show, of
Thank
course.
you. Appreciate it.
I have a question and a warning to other old folks. Me and see too good.
Okay.
I think I know the answer to the question, but I wanted to run it by you anyway. I've got macular degeneration, and I can't see in shadows and shade very well. And I also have blueberry bushes. And last year I was reaching for a nice couple of ripe blueberries, and just before I grabbed them, I saw there was a red wasp sitting on them.
Yeah.
And I got lucky that time. But I bought some stuff that's got, rosemary oil and peppermint oil and something called geraniol, which I suppose is from geraniums.
Don't know.
And I got a quart of it. It costs $16. So I'm wondering how much of it I need to spray, and will it work, in fact, to keep the wasp off the blueberries?
Well, first of all, no matter what you're using, whether it's a synthetic, a chemical, or a natural spray or anything like that, it's always, and this sounds like I'm just, parroting the university, but it's true. Always read and follow label directions. It should say how much to mix per gallon of water to spray. It should be on there anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's ready. It's ready to spray right now.
Oh, well, then just all you're trying to do is just coat surfaces. You don't need to make stuff dripping. Unfortunately, repellents like that, if it's to repel, they wear off or they break down in the sunlight after a week or two. So you need to put it out there. And if you're starting to harvest, I'd put it out there at least once a week. It may not keep the wasps from coming though. Wasps are meat eaters. They're looking for caterpillars and little flies and things like that. So it's actually a beneficial thing out there. It's just if you can't see too good, it can be a nasty surprise. But if it has a wasp nest, that's a whole different story. But if what will repel wasps will also repel pollinators and beneficial insects. So best thing I could suggest would be to as you're squinting around looking for blueberries, just kick the plant every now and then, shake loose anything that might be in there. But anyway, if it's ready to mix, I'd spray it at least every week or two.
Yeah. Well, I think they're about a week out from starting to harvest.
Yeah.
And I think wasps are pollinators, and I didn't really want to kill them. I just want to keep them out of my hands.
Not much way to do that except just shake the bush before you get to it. That's about, it's just that's just. I'm talking as Jerry, I have a little girl squeal in me. Java's never heard this because I can't fake it. But if a wasp or a spider or something, I'm not scared of snakes, but wasps or spiders, or if a feather lands on me and I think it's a wasp or spider, I have a real high-pitched little girl squeal. So I'm with you. I understand. But and I also have little guinea wasps. They're not those big red wasps. They're guinea wasps. They nest in everything, my ornamental grasses. And so I just shake and tap stuff before I reach. That's all I do.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a squealer, but I just want to avoid getting stung on the fingers because I know how sensitive your fingertips are.
Oh yeah.
I want to stay away from that.
Yeah. Well, good luck on it. That's all I can say. And
All right.
All right. Appreciate your call,
Thanks
man.
a lot. Yep. Bye-bye.
Good call. There's a lot of things, Java, that even though I've got horticulture and retired horticulturist and university and decades of experience, blah, 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 blah. There's some things I can't. I have the same problems in my garden, and I don't have a good control either. And if there was one, I'd know about it. So just one of those things. Anyway, let's talk to Chico. We got a cheesy tune coming up. Let's see what Chico's up to in Oxford. Hey, Chico.
Hey, good morning, y'all. Felder, you asked a young lady where Ballardsville is. Well, Ballardsville, Mississippi, is where Vernon and Gladys Presley moved the 8 miles from into Tupelo before Gladys gave birth to the Presley twins.
Gotcha.
Elvis Aaron and Jesse Garon.
Out in the boondocks in North Mississippi.
Yeah, and there's the bottom land around Ballardsville. Like around 100 years ago, I was a little kid growing up in that bottom land. And the bottom land is real rich. The soil is fantastic. And it's common there to find those giant prehistoric seashells.
Oh, yeah. We used to be at the bottom of an ocean.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if those seashells contributed to the richness of the soil.
Well, it's a good question. If anything, they might be a little on the alkaline side. I don't know. It takes a long time for seashells, even though they're not fossilized, to degrade. I don't know what they would add to it, but it's going to be more or less the silt and all the trees and things like that. What creates the fertility of the soil now is what's happened in the past few hundred years, not a million years or something ago. But it's a good question. It's a very.
I follow you. Yeah. Well, now speaking of Elvis, the Kazoo Kings are playing the Elvis Presley Festival in Tupelo, June 7th. You and Java ought to come on and boogie down.
Might do that, man. We appreciate your call, Chico. Thank you, man.
Okay, dude.
All righty,
Chico is our North Mississippi correspondent.
Yes, and he told us where Ballardsville is, out from Tupelo.
Yeah, and like you said, the boonies explains it all.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm from the Delta. You can see the boonies from anywhere in the Delta. You get up in the hills, and they're right around the corner. Anyway, Java, we got we got somebody who's called up, going to share how to grow cilantro. Let me mention again, and I don't know how well the those on YouTube on the live stream can see, but I've got a crepe myrtle blossom, and I've got a stem of a plant that's called Vitex. It's got leaves that look suspiciously like marijuana, so be careful if you look like me growing this in your yard. But it has spikes of blue or purple or sometimes pink flowers, an incredible pollinator, hummingbird magnet, and it's durable. It'll grow in a cemetery in Texas. But anyway, Vitex is a great plant if you're having trouble with crepe myrtles. And anyway, just want to throw that out. Vitex is a good plant, seriously overlooked. We'll be right back.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
Mississippi is a place of deep roots where every story matters and every voice can be heard. At MPB, we stand with our local communities, bringing you the voices of those who shape our state through local programming that reflects our culture across small towns to big cities, from the Delta to the coast. We tell the stories that define us, from the music that carries our voices to the leaders who inspire change. MPB brings you the heart of Mississippi, celebrating Mississippi one story at a time. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Hey, it's me, Gus the Gopher for Atmos Energy. I dig all around the yard. Occasionally, I bump into a utility line and get a headache. But if you hit one with your shovel, backhoe, or ditch digger, you could cause a gas leak, disrupt service, or worse. So call 811 at least 3 business days before you or someone else digs in your yard to have those underground utility-owned lines marked. It's free and it's the law. You dig what I'm saying? For more on safe digging, visit atmosenergy.com/811.
The Measuring Show.
Since 1970, MPB has been enriching the lives of Mississippians.
Everything we do gives us the chance to grow and learn.
With your support, we are always there whenever and wherever you need us. Together through the years, together in the future. Please consider making a donation at mpbfoundation.org. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Okie dokie, welcome back. For those of you who could not hear that tune, is a garden rap. I'm gonna say rap. Was that right?
Yeah, it was a rap.
And it's a guy named Rocco Elliott, and the name of the tune is "Just Me and My Plants."
Just me and my plants.
Sometimes you gotta water them. I show my daughter them. And plants gotta climb. You gotta,
Yeah.
If too much light, it's they get stretchy. It was just if they're not growing good, to give them some nitrogen.
Yeah, no, he was giving real
gardening
gardening plant knowledge.
Yeah, it's worth Googling, folks. Rocco Elliott, Just Me and My Plants.
He wasn't just rhyming words.
No. Talking about showing his daughter while he's watering stuff. Watering and showing my daughter them. Anyway, let's go down to Pike County, which could be anywhere from Felder's Campground down to Magnolia, and talk with, is it Josie or Jose? Hello?
Nope.
Gone. Well, had some tips on growing cilantro, but I got a caller from Jackson named Jim who also has a tip on cilantro.
Let's do it.
Hey, Jim, how are you?
I'm doing well, Felder, and I assume you and Java are doing okay. Sounds like it.
Appreciate it. You grow cilantro?
No, I don't, but I can solve your problem.
Okay.
What you do is you go to any nursery and you buy a little small packet of cilantro seeds.
Right.
And you sprinkle them in a pot and barely cover them. Keep the dirt a little bit damp. Put the empty seed packet on a popsicle stick.
So you know what's there.
So you know what's in there. And then you go to Kroger and you buy a big bunch of beautiful Mexican cilantro for 79 cents. And you forget about your pot.
You know what? That's exactly what I do.
That's precisely what I do.
I appreciate that, man.
I know so much about how to obtain cilantro.
Yep, that's right. You plant some seeds and go to the store and buy what you. I mean, think of how much money people spend. Java, your sweetheart is growing all these vegetables. I've spent probably $11 or $12 growing 3 tomatoes.
Oh, I keep that calculator in my head all the time, but it's about the experience.
Yeah, Jim, we appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Just trying to help.
Thank you. Cilantro. Speaking of that, Crystal went out and got an arbor, you say, for the garden.
Well, a trellis.
A trellis.
Yeah, because the cucumbers, we had kind of makeshift. Her cucumbers are doing really well, and we kind of makeshifted something for them to kind of
put some branches out there or something. Yeah.
But if they kind of outgrew that,
yeah.
So she went and actually picked up I think it's a steel or metal trellis, little cone.
Yeah.
Shapy thing.
Yeah, she'll be able to use that for year after year after year, too.
Okay.
Good.
That's good for me to know.
Well, let's go down to Poplarville. Bruce, what's up?
So, hey, Mr. Felder. So we've got a lot of grass growing up in our driveway. We got a gravel driveway, and I've been mowing over it, but I hate to do it because I always just know I'm going to sling a rock through a window or a windshield or something, no matter how careful I am.
Yeah, actually, you just don't know which one did it.
Yeah. But and so I wanted to know if there was something I could spray on it, but the kicker is we've got a couple of goats that free range in our yard, and they don't eat what you want them to eat, but I know as soon as I spray something toxic on it, they'll go to eat it.
Yeah.
And so
there's a couple of approaches. First of all, if you were going to use a weed killer, the stuff, I'm not talking about Roundup here, but used to be Roundup. There are brands that have this material called glyphosate. And glyphosate has it's less toxicity than aspirin. It takes a lot over a long time to cause any problems. But if they're perennial weeds, you need to kill them roots and all. That's going to be your most effective and the safest bet. Anything that has glyphosate in it. You don't have to mix it up strong, but just mix it with water, wet the stuff down really good. And if the goats, once it dries, it is not a toxic material, per se. It's got a little soapy stuff in it that'll make them blow bubbles out their nose, but other than that, it's not gonna kill them. In the short run, if you want real fast effect and just little weeds that come up from seed, you could mix up. This is a homemade concoction. I rarely recommend it, but it's ideal for pavement. Is mix up a little vinegar and salt. Spray it on your plants. Get some vinegar, put a little salt in it, enough water to make it spray, and it'll burn that stuff down real quick. And the salt will keep a lot of them coming back. I wouldn't use this in a flower bed or over the lawn because salt will poison those too. But salt is a pretty good herbicide, and it'll make I don't know if you raise the goats to eat or whatever, but it'll make it tastier. But anyway, salt.
My wife's pets.
Yeah, vinegar and salt will do a good job of burning stuff down. It keeps some weeds from coming back. But if it's a perennial things like Bermuda grass keeps coming back, just a light application of glyphosate, even half strength, and repeat it in a week or so, that'll do a good job of killing stuff, roots and all, and it's not going to poison your goats.
Good deal. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr.
All righty, Bruce. Appreciate it. Okay, I wanted to mention this. When it comes to the flowers, the pictures that I usually bring in Java.
Yeah, you brought in. We've been rocking and rolling on the phones. We haven't got so many of them.
Yeah, but I got some pictures I want to show because first of all, picture number one. This is the Museum of Art downtown Jackson. Mm-hmm. It has got it's got a regular southern type garden. This the grass and the crepe myrtles is a beautiful southern living looking garden. But they have a native plant garden that's real contemporary design. Robert Poor and Ed Blake did incredible native plants that are used like regular flowers. So if you want to see native plants that don't look weedy at all, they look quite tasty, go down to the Museum of Art downtown Jackson. But getting back to the mosquito thing we did earlier, my picture number 4 that I brought in, I have a bird bath in my yard. And
that's a mosquito breeding. That's a breeding ground.
Yeah, and bird baths are great. I have all sorts of birds come to mind. I have honeybees and butterflies around the edge, so it's really important to have water in the garden. But standing water is really rough for mosquitoes. Mm-hmm. What I ought to do is about every 3 or 4 days, or at least once a week, I just go out and I just dump it over into the flowers and fill it back up. Before the larvae have time to mature.
There you go.
So that's one approach. But the next picture number 5, I've got a regular water garden that's got a little small, inexpensive pump in it, not a fountain that sprays up because that makes all the water evaporate. It just bubbles. And as you've got standing water, you will not have mosquitoes because they have to have still water. So if you've got a water,
little bubble,
any way to get the water moving, a little inexpensive bubbler, and it's It's a pump that I have below the water surface. It doesn't blow it up out of the water. It just makes it burble and and waves and stuff like that. Real good way to keep down mosquitoes. Just want to throw that out.
Now that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Now the Felder, we got some time to go to YouTube. I feel bad because I've been neglecting our YouTube viewers.
Oh, let's do that.
Got a couple of questions, and as always, want to say good morning to Kendall, Pam, Tim, Jade, Margie, Amanda, even our very own Abram Nanny. I don't know how he's working the media room and
Abram and John C. John C.
and in the YouTube, but he left a comment. He said, "I was able to make." He sounds like a proud garden father. I was able to make a cobbler with the blackberries from my backyard. First time for me.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. It was a little sugar.
With a little sugar, yeah. Now, we did have a couple questions. Pamela, as always, she says, good morning from Halston. Question, what is the fire ant product that is cast across the lawn rather than addressing each anthill?
That's a good question, and there's several out there that are they're baits. They don't kill on contact. Have to be picked up and taken into the mound. They feed it to the queen. The queen dies, and it takes a little while. And there's several. Andro was one of them, but there's a whole bunch of others. But they're called fire ant baits, and they usually have a cornmeal base. You throw it out there, ants pick up the cornmeal, take it back, feed it to the queen, boom. But there's several of them, but they're just called fire ant baits, and they're to be. Andro was one of the big brands. There are probably others. I just don't know.
Now, we did have a question from, let's see, this is Amanda. Good morning, Felder. I have finally gotten parrot lily to grow from seedings, and they are planting and even started to bloom. What should I do for them during the summer?
Well,
and Amanda is in Dexter, Walthall County.
Yeah, Walthall County. She said parrot lily. That's a folk name. It could apply to several different kind of plants.
Okay.
So that's a problem. The one that I call parrot lily, the Latin name is Alstroemeria. People buy it as a floral plant. It's Alstroemeria. Sometimes they call it peanut lily because it's got roots like peanuts. But it's a plant that dies down in the summer. The leaves come up in the fall. They grow through the winter. They don't look like they take cold, but they die down in the late spring just as the flowers they start sending up spikes of flowers. So if it's the parrot lily that's called Alstroemeria that's used as a cut flower, expect the leaves to die down. Don't freak out about it. They'll be back this fall. And if it's not that, it may be a gladiolus. There's one that's called parrot gladiolus, kind of a wild thing. And basically they bloom for, a week or two, and then they die down. So I grow them just for the foliage, and when they finish blooming, the leaves look good. But after a while, So anyway, if it's the parrot gladiolus, just stake them to keep them from flopping over. And don't expect these plants to live all summer because they don't. So there.
Amanda, hopefully they helped you out.
I don't know if we get a close up for the folks who are on the live stream, but I got this plant called mimosa. It's also called silk tree, and because it's just got silkiest little flowers, it's a really light fragrance. It's not like magnolia or ligustrum or the gardenias that are so powerful right now. But this is the plant that's reviled because it comes up everywhere. And my way of thinking is sort of facial hair. You just pull it up. And it is invasive along the roadsides, but you notice there's no vast forests of it, just few plants here and there because they're short-lived, and they easily get overshadowed by oaks and other plants. So it's not a seriously invasive weed, but what an incredible pollinator plant and beautiful flowers. Here's my tip. If you've got mimosa and you love the flowers, you like the hummingbirds and all like that, but you don't like the seeds, what I do is every year after they get through blooming, before they go to seed, I just cut them down. I just cut them to the ground in the summertime. They sprout out all these long, skinny stems with leaves on it. They look like giant ferns.
Yeah.
So you cut them down before they go to seed. They make big ferns in the late summer and fall. Next year, they bloom, and you cut them down again. So instead of cutting stuff down in the wintertime, just cut it down when it gets through blooming, and you get the benefits without all the problems.
Now, Amanda, she just jumped into the YouTube, and she said her parrot lilies are the old-timey red with white tips. not gladiolus.
Well, that would be the one called Alstroemeria.
Okay.
I'm assuming, because that's sort of green and red.
Well, she just wanted to, I guess, clarify.
Yeah, if it's Alstroemeria, starts with Alstro, Alstroemeria. Google that. If that's what it is, expect the leaves to die down sometime in the late spring or early summer. They'll be back in the fall. So anyway, let's go down to Mobile and talk with Mikey. Mikey, how are you today? Hello? Mikey. She might have given up on us.
Yeah, Mikey. Yeah, Mikey's a regular caller. She'll call back next week.
Well, let me throw out this thing real quick. I brought some other pictures. Folks on live stream can see these. And by the way, folks, if you're not on live stream, anytime, day or night, anytime.
2 in the morning.
2 in the morning. You can go to YouTube and in the search box do MPB, Mississippi Public Broadcasting, or Gestalt Gardener and see this whole thing. And you'll see the pictures. I have 2 lilies I want to show, Java, that are blooming right now. One is picture number 7 is called Milk and Wine Lily. The folk name is Milk and Wine because it's white with sort of wine-colored stripes on the flowers. Little trumpet flowers. It's a type of crinum, big bulb, really tough, durable plant. As far as we know, none have ever died. But the old Milk and Wine, you can also get them solid white. Or this next picture, number 8, is the wine color part. You can get them that are just pink. You can get them that are almost red. But Milk and Wine lily, crinum lilies, are among the most durable late spring and summer flowering bulbs you can possibly put in a garden. They need zero care. They'll grow actually between a sidewalk and a curb outside my pub. I mean, that's how tough they are. But the third picture, number 9, this is the Asiatic lily. And they're blooming all over, think Easter lily, things like that. These are plants that come up from a little, it's a bulb that's like garlic, a whole bunch of little things in it, and it grows straight up. It has incredible cut flowers, and there's so many that are blooming right now. There are red ones, white ones, this beautiful pink one. But Asiatic lilies don't live all summer. They come up in the spring, they flower, and they are stunning plants. And then they die down and they come back the next year. These are hardy outdoors in Canada. So if you ever get a start of Asiatic lilies, it's a whole group called Asiatic lilies with stems. It's an incredible addition to the garden this time of year. So I just want to throw that out.
And I was going to ask a silly question, but I was able to see the Mardi Gras beads and the blue bottle tree. And yes, they are in your yard.
I can't, I tend to over-accessorize, my friend. I tend to over-accessorize.
I was going to ask the question. I was like, where is it? But no, I know exactly where that is.
Yeah. This is a lot of people they might have a statue, or they might have a bird bath or a log or something. I got bottle trees. And some people say, well, I don't like them. I say, well, I don't hang stuff out of holes in my ears. Shut up. Anyway, Java, maybe I know y'all are busy this weekend, but maybe Sunday and come over and help Crystal with her new trellis.
Yeah, we can set that for Sunday, Saturday. We're gonna be rocking and rolling.
Oh, y'all by any chance okra people?
Yeah, we can batter it and fry it up.
I got some. Folks, it's been fun. Gestalt Gardener, a production of Mississippi Public Broadcasting. Me and Java Chapman and Abram and John C. and all the other folks at Mississippi Public Broadcasting. We're glad you joined us. And if we can help you, we'll be back same time, same place next week. Meanwhile, if you get a chance, go to a farmer's market and take somebody with you and show how to do what we do best, and that's get dirty.